People will come for reasons they can't even fathom. As innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they like. And it'll be as if they dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Well, hello Glue Troopers, and welcome back to the TARDIS. Got a fair bit done today. I also spent a little time on the computer. I was kind of browsing eBay and seeing what people were getting for kits, and some of them were pretty outrageous. I know that Addams Family kit, the originals, are extremely rare and apparently surprisingly sought after. You know, that kit sold a lot better than anybody expected. Of course, as I was browsing eBay, you can't help but go down, memory lane, so I put that little intro together. Well, I was getting a lot done today. I got a lot done on the Dragster. I used some of the Tamiya Mr. Surfacer to go over the framing and everything, and then hit it with the aluminum. Came out looking pretty good. I'll detail it out later. I decided to build this first, hit it with one coat, and then paint in the details. I'm kind of getting tired of arguing with when you pre-paint things and you try to glue them in place and move around, and the paint smears and you wind up with a bigger mess than if you just gone in and tried to hand paint it. And sometimes the glue bond isn't that good because paint intrusion. So I just decided, you know what, just going to put it all together, plastic on plastic, which helps a lot after grinding down the chrome off a lot of those parts. The big wheels on the back kept popping loose, and finally enough. I had all of the chrome removed, but finally enough pressure over enough time with a generous amount of a thicker glue, and they finally bound properly. So I got the first couple of coats on the body done. It's pretty straightforward. It's black, and then you decal it. Now the first couple of decals I used actually go on the engine. I found that they were older, so I went ahead and shot them with a pretty generous clear coat, just regular clear coat like we coat the models with. And unfortunately, that sometimes leaves a little bit of onion skin on there, and those were too tiny for me to cut around, just, big hands, old eyes. So I got them on there, and then I put a generous amount of Mark Fit, and hopefully that'll get it all to lay down. So other than that, the Dragster has gone with a little bit less argument than I expected. I mean, I have made a few mistakes, and like any kit, you're going to have some foibles, especially one that has that many tiny parts on it. But all in all, the progression's been pretty steady. I haven't had any major setbacks, and I don't think I've ever built a Dragster before. And I was told that Revell made the best ones, and of course that one-piece frame, which has got to be side slide injection molding. There's no way you can make a three-dimensional frame like that that I'm aware of without a pretty complicated injection system. So, salute to Revell for doing that. And I had been told by some folks that Revell did make the best Dragsters, and haven't built anybody else's, but I'm inclined to agree. And right now it's coming along. Now I go back on reserve at midnight, long call. So if I get the squadron scramble, there won't be any more videos until whenever. But I think I'm on reserve for a week. But if they don't use me, that I can get this thing finished in a day or two. I also did finish the HMS Astute, and she's up on the submarine shelf, looking good. Imperfect, of course, especially I had problems with cheat lines. I thought about actually pulling that white line off. I have some aftermarket white line I could put on, but I was like, there's a point in time when you're just maybe putting a little too much effort into it. It looks good on the shelf. I'm happy with it. Just leave it alone. And so I'm moving on from that. I kind of made an impromptu paint booth in the garage today because it's really been wet and nasty out here. So running out of the TARDIS and back and forth through the rain and stuff. So that is what I did with that. I used semi-gloss on the Astute because I wanted to give it a little bit of a sort of a wet look. I mean, it's a submarine. And I'm also, but I used ultra clear gloss to coat the decals. So there you go with that. And Dragster's coming along. It won't be any award winner. I've decided I'm not going to try to hyper detail the engine with ignition wires and stuff. I know there's plenty of guys who do that because it's so exposed. And if I ever were to get into building Dragsters and get a little more experience with them, I probably would. And it's something, like I say, the nice thing on this Dragster is if at some point I just get a wild hair and decide I want to do it, great, it's because everything's where you can get to it. So there's that. But got some of the parts pre-painted, used a little bit of enamel and lacquer on this kit instead of acrylics as much as I'm used to. I figure with the, figured nothing. I had the right color and enamel, so I used it. And I didn't have any of the proper acrylic handy. It's always nice to say, well, I used it because blah, blah, blah. I used it because it was right there and it was the right color, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it looks good though. The enamel does pop. It's a little thicker, one coat for the red stuff, and it went on very easily, and it actually did make it a little easier. A lot of the black is acrylic, which is good because I had to clean up little bits of that. And but I got the fan belt. Now, I shot the engine with the aluminum, but I left some of the chrome exposed. I didn't use the color palette entirely that came in the kit because the photographs didn't match it. At first I had painted the supercharger intakes black, and then I saw, which, down there with that toothpick, but then I looked at the picture, wait a minute, they're red. So I went back and scrubbed that out and put some of that, and that's, again, I will say the enamel, being the thicker, was easy to dab a little bit in there. The problem was, as always is prone to happen, a little of it gets out of place and you're in there with toothpicks trying to clean it out, and enamel's harder to clean up. Fortunately, since it has that chrome, that's one time that chrome comes in handy. It's easier to wipe stuff off of if you get to it quickly. The enamel can't bite in there, but enamel will bite into the chrome, so you can put enamel over the chrome if you don't have the facility or just don't want to strip it. Just saying. Whereas acrylics just lay on top and will wipe right off. So that's pretty much where we're at with that. I didn't do any work on the Unicorn Gundam today because I decided to get started on the Perfect Grade. Now, a bunch of guys have told me, go slow, take your time. And you were absolutely right. This is on par with the Caterham. A lot of screws, a lot of washers, a lot of fittings. You guys remember I had the Caterham spread out all around here and the entire TARDIS, and that's why I want to get this place cleaned up before I started on the Perfect Grade. And sure enough, the Caterham was good training for the Perfect Grade because it's a lot of the same kind of stuff, same tools and everything. Now, you got to be real careful. Now, this is going to get a little long-winded, but I figure it's worthwhile to get a few points across if you ever get one of these and save you some grief. You guys remember yesterday I talked about I had everything organized in the shelves. Well, I set them up in the shelves. Well, today I actually want to organize them in alphabetical order, which will make it easier when they say part A or part B, And so it's A, B, C, and D in the top one. It's E through F in the next one. G and H actually didn't fit in it very well, so I just got them over in a box, but they're parts to cover the feet. They're easy to set aside. They're in here with a bunch of other mechanical parts, so that's fine. And then the rest of them, and then two shelves below that, all numbered out, and it works really well. The first thing you start working with is the L part. And I got to work on that today, and right off the bat, and these are, I believe, shoulder pieces that you're starting on, and it's mechanical. You're going to be driving screws. Now, this is important. It can get very confusing where the screws are concerned. I'm just going to pick one up here at random. And okay, this says TP 2.6-5 15, which means there's 15 of them in the bag. I believe that's 2.6 centimeter or something, or whatever it is, or that may be millimeter. The point is that what you have to look at on the instruction sheet, this has a big 12 with a circle around it. A lot of these screws look alike. When you look on the instruction sheet and it shows the screw where it goes in and it says TP 2.6, X5, which means there's 5 of them. There are some bags that have other TP 2.6. If you read the big number and look at the little number with the circle, the number 9 in the circle that I used today match the number 9 in the big circle on the paper. So once you realize what their system is, it's actually quite simple. There's a lot of screws, a lot of components, so organization is key. I only had the big parts organized, but I had all the little parts categorized, and I brought these little cups out because once you snip this little bag open, these things will roll loose. So I put them in the cup with the appropriate card, like I did with the Caterham. Only the Caterham only had the A's and the B's, so it was actually a lot simpler. But this is actually, once you learn how the system works, very, very good system. Not real intuitive because since I don't read Japanese, I couldn't understand some of the stuff. But their pictographs are so good that you take a minute and look at it. Before I forget, because I got to grab these thoughts, or whoosh, you guys know me, I'll be sailing off down the road on the wrong tangent. Another thing, very, very important, parts are side specific. Now, some of them, like the very first thing you're going to make, which I believe is that shoulder, it tells you up in the corner 2X. You're going to do this twice because those go on either, they're not side specific, they're just two shoulders. But the components therein are. So once they're off the sprue, parts look alike. There's no, once you cut them off the parts tree, you can get them mixed up real easy. So what I do is I look at it, it goes 11 goes on the left, 12 goes on the right. Cut out 11, put it on the left, cut out 12, set it on the right, and line them up left and right, get everything orientated. Some stuff will fit backwards. It's some real oddball stuff, but once you get it done, you figure it out. And then you test it when you're done, the joint works just fine. Okay, you're off and running. On the shoulder thing, one thing you look for is some of these things actually have nuts, and I didn't have a nut driver that would fix it, so I got my needle nose pliers and they worked fine. But also, if you look, remember I said it's side specific? One side has a little cutout for the nut to rest in, so you can just screw it in even if you don't have anything to hold, like needle nose pliers. I did one of them holding with the needle nose pliers, and I did another one just holding my finger over it in that little cutout and screwed it in, and it went in just fine. In fact, I over tightened it, thinking, oh, did I do something wrong? It won't move. Back a quarter turn, there it goes, it's moving. So this is going to take some time. This is going to be like the Caterham or the Felix stove. This is going to be a long-term, slow burn build while I do other stuff in the periphery. And don't worry, guys. You guys know I love to do quick and easy, low-stress builds and then really get into something that's complicated, whether it be the rigging on the pirate ship, the rigging on the Felix stove, long-term, short-term. Mix it up. That's a me thing. You do you. This is me. And so this is definitely going to be one of the slow burns. I'm not putting a schedule on it. Haven't got a clue when it's going to be done. Can't say that I really care because it's all in good fun, right? And I want to have a nice product, especially understanding I appreciate how not only expensive that these kits are, and this was given to me by a very generous glue trooper, but also how, I guess I'll use the word important. When somebody sends you something like this, they're really sharing a trust, and I don't want to violate that trust or let them down. So there's that. But in the end, of course, it's all about having a good time, and I gotta admit I do enjoy it. But so much you're like, okay, stop, back up, and time to go do something else. Watch some YouTube videos, break it up. I don't have to explain to you guys. You understand perfectly. Due to the rather wet and cold day, we were a rainy day. Ken and I were supposed to go out to the range this morning, and that didn't happen because of the weather. So I think they had to get on back to Lauderdale or Orlando and Lauderdale. So I just had a full day to build and haven't left the house. Loving it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to have a problem with retirement. I have plenty to keep me busy. And I have my models to keep me company. But that's where we're at with all of that. It was a pretty productive day. No catastrophes. Didn't lose any fingers or toes. And I guess at that point, I will let you go. If you guys don't hear back from me in a while, that just means they probably called me out. I'll try and post something quick if I get called out. But as of midnight, I'm subject to a squadron scramble.
2-section scramble!
Well, guys, there we go. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on. Well, anyway, in fact, if I remember right, but I remember there was something significant about that kit. Too many facts, keep them all jumbled.